The calm of Solmaris Prime's night was shattered by the sudden arrival of warships. Dark fleets from rival houses had gathered beyond the planet's orbit, their intent clear: to challenge the human who had humiliated the galaxy's greatest warriors. Captain Ryan Hale stood on the bridge of the UNSV Resolute, his fingers resting lightly on the control console. His crew watched him carefully, unsure if their human captain was worried. He wasn't. "Report," he said calmly. Lieutenant Ria Torres, his communications officer, replied, "Multiple hostile fleets approaching from the outer sectors. They are armed and ready. They expect a quick victory." Ryan nodded. "Good. Then we'll give them something they didn't expect." The alien admirals laughed from their massive warships. "A single human vessel? He is insane," one of them growled. "We will crush him before he even reaches the planet." Yet Ryan remained composed. He did not have their fleets or weapons, but he had something far more important: strategy, creativity, and humanity's stubborn will to survive. "Prepare the asteroids near the belt for defensive positioning," he ordered. "Use the satellites for sensor interference. And Lieutenant, broadcast a message to all fleets: no unnecessary casualties. We are here to defend, not to provoke." The human ingenuity stunned the aliens. No one had expected such careful planning from a single vessel. The fleets moved in like a storm, but Ryan's ship danced between asteroids, weaving through the debris with precision. He sent commands to alter satellite patterns, creating blind spots in the enemy sensors. The alien ships fired blindly, wasting their weapons while the Resolute remained unharmed. On the royal flagship above Solmaris, Princess Lysera watched through her viewing screen. Her heart raced. "He's controlling them all with clever tricks," she whispered. "A human, outsmarting fleets." Ryan's voice came over the comm, calm but confident. "Princess Lysera, I am not here to destroy. We fight only to protect. Stand ready, but hold your fire." The alien admirals, growing frustrated, ordered a direct attack. They believed sheer power would crush the human vessel. Ryan tilted his head, observing their formations. "They underestimate us because we are small. Let's show them that courage counts for more than size." He activated the Resolute's cloaking and sensor jamming simultaneously, disappearing from their radars. Then, he used the asteroid field as cover, ambushing the enemy ships in unexpected angles. One by one, he disabled their engines, leaving them adrift rather than destroyed. The alien fleets had never faced a foe like this. No human ship had ever been so unpredictable. Their arrogance began to crumble. Princess Lysera's eyes widened. "He's not just fighting," she said. "He's teaching them something. He's showing what humans are capable of." As the battle raged, Ryan communicated directly with the enemy admirals. "This doesn't need to end in death," he said. "You may attack, but you will lose. We can fight each other, or we can protect the galaxy together. Choose wisely." For a moment, the admirals hesitated. Many had never considered mercy a strategy. Ryan's voice was firm but fair. "Courage without cruelty is still courage. Honor without destruction is still honor." Slowly, some fleets began to withdraw, realizing that further attacks were futile. Ryan's calm leadership had inspired hesitation and doubt. The largest remaining warlord, Lord Zavern, growled angrily. "A human dares lecture me on honor." Ryan met him through the communications channel. "I don't lecture. I show you. Humans fight when we must, but we protect when we can. That is strength, true strength." Savorn hesitated, then finally ordered his ships to disengage. The war ended without a single unnecessary casualty. In the command hall of the royal flagship, Princess Lysera's hands trembled slightly. She turned to her father. "Father, he did it. He defended the Empire, alone, and he did it without killing unnecessarily." The Emperor's golden eyes softened, a rare warmth showing in his gaze. "Perhaps we have judged humans too harshly," he admitted. "They may be young, but they are capable of greatness." Ryan Hale stepped out of the Resolute onto Solmaris Prime's landing platform. The crowds erupted in cheers, not just for the victory, but for the example of courage and heart. Aliens and humans alike stared in awe at the human who had changed the course of a battle without destruction. Princess Lysera approached him. "Captain Hale," she said softly, "you could have demanded power, demanded wealth, or even my hand. Yet you asked only for respect and understanding." Ryan smiled humbly. "Because true strength is not taken. It is shown. We don't need crowns or armies to make a difference. All we need is courage, heart, and the will to stand." She looked at him with admiration. "And yet you have won more than any ruler could. You've won the respect of the galaxy itself." Ryan glanced at the stars. "It wasn't just me. It was all humans. Every person who stood up, rebuilt, and never gave up. I only carried their spirit." Lysera nodded, smiling faintly. "Then perhaps we underestimated your species, perhaps. It is time for humans to be remembered not as myths, but as equals among the stars." The Emperor stepped forward, his voice echoing across the landing platform. "Captain Hale, by your actions you have not only passed the trials, but you have changed the galaxy's view of humanity. The Thalrin Empire will honor this day as a turning point. Earth will be remembered and humans will no longer be dismissed." Ryan bowed slightly. "Thank you, Majesty. We will continue to earn that respect every day." The citizens of Solmaris Prime erupted in celebration. Holographic displays lit the skies, depicting the courage of a single human against impossible odds. News spread to the outer systems. Humanity, once considered weak and insignificant, had proven its worth in the eyes of the galaxy. Princess Lysera stayed near Ryan, watching him with quiet wonder. She had seen powerful alien rulers falter in fear and pride, yet this human had faced far greater challenges with nothing but resolve and heart. "Captain," she said softly, "you have done what many thought impossible. You have reminded us that true power lies not in might but in spirit." Ryan looked at her and smiled. "And you have shown that even a princess can see beyond tradition. That is courage too." The twin suns rose over Solmaris Prime, bathing the city in golden light. Somewhere among the stars, humans were preparing for new journeys, unaware that one of their own had forever changed the galaxy's view of their species. Ryan Hale walked to his ship, but he paused to look back. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "One day humans will stand among the stars as equals, and we will never forget what courage and heart can achieve." Princess Lysera watched him go, her heart full of respect and hope. The human stepped forward, she said softly, "and the galaxy will never be the same." Above, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the courage of a small species that dared to stand tall. It was a reminder to all. Greatness was not defined by size, wealth, or power, but by the courage to act, the heart to care, and the will to make a difference. And so, the legend of Captain Ryan Hale of Earth was born, a human who had reminded an entire galaxy of what it truly meant to be alive, to be brave, and to be worthy. The galaxy, vast and endless, would never forget. The sun of Veldara Prime burned gold over the city of glass towers. The day had come for the intergalactic combat trials, the greatest event across 100 worlds. Thousands of alien races gathered in the grand arena, a structure larger than mountains built of silver walls that shimmered like water. Every year, the trials decided which civilizations earned a voice in the Council of Stars. It was not just a contest of strength. It was a test of honor, courage, and skill. For the first time in history, humans were allowed to join. Many aliens thought it was a joke. Humanity was new to the galactic stage, their technology far behind most species. They came from a small blue world and still believed in things like freedom and hope, ideas many advanced species had long abandoned. Among the crowd sat Commander Lyra V. Thane, an officer from the Vornan Empire, a proud and disciplined race known for their logical minds and strict traditions. She had seen hundreds of warriors fight before, each with advanced armor, plasma blades, and energy shields. But this time, something strange caught her attention. A human, tall, lean, and calm, walked into the arena with no armor and no weapon. His name appeared on the holo display, Captain Ethan Cross, Human Fleet Command. Lyra blinked in disbelief. "He is unarmed?" she asked the officer beside her. The officer laughed. "Humans always do strange things. They think bravery can win against plasma steel." But Ethan didn't seem foolish. His eyes were sharp, his steps steady. There was something in his face, a quiet confidence that didn't need to shout. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. "Round 1. The human warrior faces Torvak of the Kareth Dominion." The gates opened and a giant alien walked out, covered in black armor, claws shining under the lights. Torvak's voice was deep like thunder. "You came to die, small one?" he growled. Ethan tilted his head slightly, almost amused. "Guess we'll find out." The crowd roared with laughter. Many expected the human to fall within seconds. Even Lyra folded her arms, ready to witness a short match. Then the signal blared. The match began. Torvak charged forward, the ground shaking with each step. His claws slashed toward Ethan's face, but Ethan ducked low, rolled aside and rose smoothly. His movements were quick, not wild. He moved like someone who had fought 1,000 times before. Torvak attacked again, swinging both arms. Ethan caught one of them, twisted his body, and used Torvak's weight against him. The massive alien stumbled forward, crashing into the ground with a roar. The crowd went silent. Ethan stepped back, breathing evenly. No taunt, no arrogance, just calm focus. Lyra's eyes widened. "Impossible," she whispered. He used momentum against a being 5 times his size. Torvak rose, angry now. His tail lashed across the floor, breaking the ground. He lunged again. Ethan sidestepped, punched the creature's throat, then kicked behind its knee joint. The alien fell again, harder this time. The sound of impact echoed across the arena. Gasps spread through the audience. Humans had no claws, no armor, no natural armor plating, and yet this one was winning. Lyra leaned forward, unable to look away. Torvak roared and activated his armor's energy shield. A bright blue field surrounded him, humming with power. "Now you die, human." He swung his arm again, but Ethan didn't retreat. He stepped in. His left hand struck the side of the shield, right hand followed, and the energy flickered. Then, to everyone's shock, Ethan punched through it. The shield shattered in a flash of sparks. With one final strike, Ethan hit the alien square in the chest. Torvak flew backward, crashing into the arena wall with a thunderous sound. The sensors blinked red. The announcer's voice filled the air. "Victory, human contestant Ethan Cross." The entire arena fell silent for a long heartbeat. Then slowly, applause began. First from the human spectators, then from others who couldn't believe what they had seen. Lyra realized she was clapping too. Her chest tightened with something unfamiliar. It wasn't fear. It was admiration. After the match, Lyra couldn't stop watching the replay. The holoscreen displayed each move in detail, how Ethan used precision and speed instead of raw power. Every strike had purpose. Every movement carried the discipline of years of training. Other aliens commented with disbelief. He must have hidden tech. No unarmed being could do that. Humans cheat. But Lyra saw no cheating, only skill. She found herself searching through the human data archives. Reports described them as emotional, unpredictable, and stubborn. But they were also creative and adaptable. They fought wars on their own planet without superweapons, relying on courage and intelligence. Still, she wondered why he went unarmed. Was it pride? Or something deeper? Later that evening, Ethan walked through the Hall of Champions, still in his plain combat suit, bruised but smiling. Lyra waited by the entrance, unsure why she wanted to meet him. When he approached, she spoke first. "You fought without armor," she said. "Why?" He looked at her with calm blue eyes. "Because I wanted them to see us as we are. Not what our machines make us," Lyra frowned. "That is reckless." "You could have died," Ethan shrugged. "Maybe. But if I lose while hiding behind tech, no one remembers. If I win as a human, they'll never forget." Lyra couldn't find an answer. His words made no logical sense, but somehow they felt true. She watched as he walked away, the lights of the arena glinting off the scars on his hands. For the first time in her long career, she felt something stir inside her chest, something she didn't want to name. The next morning, the headlines across the galaxy blazed. "Human fighter defeats Kareth champion." "Barehanded victory shocks the council." Across distant worlds, discussions began. Some called it luck. Some called it strategy. But a few, like Lyra, began to sense a pattern. Humans might be new, but they carried something that machines couldn't replicate. Lyra sat in her command ship, rewatching the match again. Every movement of the human was raw, real, alive. There was no arrogance, only determination. Her officer interrupted. "Commander, the next round is tomorrow. The human faces 2 opponents this time." She nodded slowly, eyes still on the screen. "Prepare observation data. I want to study his technique closely." The officer raised an eyebrow. "You're studying him?" "Not just him," Lyra said softly. "I'm studying what makes him human." That night she couldn't sleep. The image of the unarmed human standing against a monster replayed again and again in her mind. She had seen thousands of battles, but none stayed with her like this one. When she finally closed her eyes, one thought whispered in the back of her mind, quiet but strong. He's different. And somewhere deep inside, Beneath logic and reason, another thought answered, "He's mine." The morning light on Veldara Prime filtered through the tall glass towers. The city buzzed with talk about one name, Captain Ethan Cross, the human who fought barehanded and won. Hollow screens everywhere replayed his match, showing again and again how he moved with perfect timing, how he used no armor, no weapon, only willpower and skill. Many aliens refused to believe what they saw. It was luck, they said. Humans are too weak for this arena. But others whispered that maybe humanity was not as simple as everyone thought. Inside the Vornan command hall, Commander Lyra Vithane watched those replays again. She had seen countless warriors, but none fascinated her like Ethan did. She paused the video on his face. Calm eyes, focused breath, quiet determination. He looked ordinary, yet something about him felt extraordinary. Her officer entered. "Commander, the human will fight again today. 2 opponents this time, and the Cytherian twins." Lyra nodded. The Cytherians were cybernetic fighters, half living, half machine, built for speed and precision. 2 at once? She asked. Yes. The council wants to test if the first fight was luck. Lyra looked at the holoscreen once more. It was not luck, she said softly. The grand arena was louder than ever that day. Tens of thousands filled the stands, chanting names, waving banners of different worlds. But when Ethan stepped into the arena again, a strange hush spread through the crowd. He looked just the same. Simple combat uniform, no armor, no weapon. His hands were bandaged from yesterday's fight, but his face held the same calm expression. Across from him stood the Cytherian twins, tall and silver-skinned, their bodies covered in glowing lines of circuitry. They moved in perfect synchronization like reflections in a mirror. The announcer's voice echoed, "Round 2, human contestant Ethan Cross versus the Cytherian twins." The sound of the starting horn thundered through the arena. Instantly, the twins moved. They were blurs of metal and motion, faster than most eyes could follow. Their strikes came from every direction, kicks, blades, energy bursts. Ethan dodged and weaved, reading their movements. Every motion he made was deliberate. He wasn't faster, but he was smarter. The first twin leapt forward, spinning midair. Ethan ducked, swept his leg out, and tripped the attacker. The second twin lunged from behind, but Ethan twisted, grabbing the attacker's arm and throwing him into the other. The crowd gasped. Lyra leaned forward in her seat. She couldn't believe what she was seeing again. He wasn't winning through power. He was using timing and strategy. The twins recovered quickly, now moving even faster. One aimed for Ethan's throat, the other for his legs. A beam of energy flashed, grazing his shoulder. Ethan stumbled but didn't fall. He exhaled slowly, centering himself again. Then he charged. It was not reckless. It was precise. He closed the distance before the twins could react, striking one across the chest and ducking under the other's arm. The twin tried to grab him, but Ethan grabbed the attacker's mechanical wrist, twisted sharply, and used the momentum to flip him over. The audience shouted in disbelief. A human, a flesh and blood being, was outmaneuvering cybernetic warriors. Lyra felt her pulse quicken. Every move Ethan made seemed impossible, yet somehow it worked. She didn't just see a fighter. She saw the will to never surrender. The first twin rose again, eyes glowing. They changed tactics, now attacking from opposite sides. Ethan was cornered. One launched an energy blade and the other came from behind with a plasma strike. For a moment, it looked impossible to escape. Then Ethan did something no one expected. He didn't move back. Instead, he stepped in. He turned sideways just as the plasma blade passed his arm, grabbed the attacker's wrist, and used the energy burst against the other twin. A flash of blue light filled the arena, and both cybernetic fighters fell, their systems sparking. Silence followed. Then the announcer shouted, "Victory, human contestant Ethan Cross." The arena erupted in cheers. Even species who didn't like humans stood and applauded. Later that day, reporters surrounded him in the hallway. "Captain Cross, how did you defeat the Cytherians? Are humans hiding secret technology? What's your strategy for the finals?" Ethan smiled politely but gave no answers. He was humble, never proud. He just said, "We fight the way we live. We adapt." Lyra watched from a distance. Something about his calmness drew her closer. She wasn't used to feeling curiosity about anyone, especially not a human. But she wanted to know how his mind worked. What gave him that strength? When the reporters left, she approached him. "Captain Cross," she said, He turned, recognizing her uniform. Commander Vithane, right? You were at the match. I was, she said. You fought without weapons again. Why risk so much? Ethan shrugged slightly. Because I don't need to prove I can win. I just need to prove we belong here. Lyra frowned. You mean humanity? Yes, he smiled faintly. Every species here measures strength by power, by weapons, by machines. We measure it by something smaller, but stronger. What is that? She asked. Will. His answer was simple, but it struck her like a storm. Willpower. That was what made him stand against giants, machines, and impossible odds. She studied his face quietly. There were bruises under his eyes, scratches on his hands, and yet he looked peaceful. You could have died today, she said. I could die any day, he replied calmly. That's life. But if I stand for something bigger, maybe it's worth it. Lyra looked away for a moment, not trusting her own thoughts. No one from her empire would ever speak like that. They fought for orders, for ranks, for victory, not for meaning. She realized something strange. Ethan wasn't fighting against others. He was fighting for something. That night, in her quarters, Lyra couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about his words, his eyes, the way he fought. She opened her datapad and searched the human archives again. There were stories, thousands of them, of humans facing impossible odds. Explorers, soldiers, scientists, survivors. One phrase appeared again and again in their history logs. Never give up. Lyra closed the screen, her mind restless. She had served her empire for years, but she had never felt such respect for anyone. The next day, while she studied battle reports, her communication panel blinked. A secure message appeared, marked confidential. When she opened it, her expression darkened. It was from the Council Security Division. The message was short. Commander Vithane, surveillance confirms the humans' performance is causing unrest among major powers. Certain delegates consider the human threat unacceptable. Keep watch. Prevent contact. Lyra stared at the message in silence. Was the Council planning something against him? Was humanity's rise already causing fear? She felt anger rising in her chest, a rare emotion for her kind. The human had done nothing wrong. He fought honorably, showed courage, and earned respect. Yet now others wanted to silence him because he was different. She deleted the message. Not on my watch, she whispered. That evening, as the stars glowed over Veldara Prime, Ethan stood alone on the arena balcony, looking out at the endless city lights. Lyra approached quietly. You should rest, she said. He turned and smiled. Can't, too many stars. Reminds me of home. Lyra stood beside him. Earth, right? He nodded. A small blue world. Not the most advanced, but it has heart. She looked at him curious. Do you think your people can survive here? In this galaxy of empires and wars? Ethan's smile grew softer. We've survived everything our world threw at us, storms, hunger, war, and fear. We always find a way, Lyra didn't answer. She just looked at him, feeling a warmth she couldn't name. His voice was calm, but behind it was strength. Not the strength of machines, but of spirit. For a moment they stood in silence, two beings from different worlds watching the same sky. Then Lyra spoke quietly. Be careful, Captain. Not everyone wants you to win. He nodded, still looking at the stars. That's fine, he said. We humans never needed everyone to believe in us. Just one chance and we'll take it. Lyra's heart beat faster. That same thought returned to her again. That same impossible, illogical thought she didn't want to admit even to herself. He's mine, not as property or romance, but as faith. As inspiration. As a symbol of something she didn't even know she'd lost until now. The city of Veldara Prime looked peaceful from above, but under its bright towers quiet tensions grew. The news of the humans' victories had spread to every corner of the galaxy. Across hundreds of systems, people were talking about Ethan Cross, the man who fought with no weapons and still won. Some called him a hero. Some called him a threat. In the halls of the Council of Stars, powerful races gathered in secret meetings. They whispered about humanity, a young species that had arrived only a few decades ago, yet already winning battles that seemed impossible. Humans are unpredictable, said the Zorth delegate, his voice low and sharp. If they can defeat cybernetic fighters with nothing but fists, what will they do when they master our technology? Another alien from the Narn collective hissed. We should end this before it begins. Remove the human before the finals, quietly. And so, the plan began, hidden, dangerous, and cruel. Meanwhile, Commander Lyra Vithane was in her ship's command chamber, reviewing new security reports. She had been asked by the Council to observe the human closely. But when she read the encrypted files, her eyes darkened. Interference planned. Terminate human contestant before final match. Cause to appear as training accident? Lyra froze. Her pulse quickened. She couldn't believe what she was reading. The Council, the same body that spoke of honor and peace, was planning to kill Ethan before he could fight again. She slammed her hand on the console, breathing hard. Her mind spun with conflict. If she warned him, she would betray her empire. If she stayed silent, an innocent man would die, a man who had done nothing but fight with courage and honor. Lyra stared at the screen for a long time, then whispered to herself, I can't let them do this. That evening, the arena was empty. The day's matches were over, and the lights dimmed across the corridors. Ethan stayed behind to train, practicing alone on the smooth steel floor. His movements were slower now. His body hurt from days of combat, but his eyes still burned with purpose. He struck the air again and again, imagining invisible opponents, testing his endurance. Sweat ran down his face, but he didn't stop. That was when Lyra appeared. She stood quietly by the door, watching him for a moment. Then she said softly, You train even when no one is watching. Ethan turned, surprised but smiling. That's when training matters most. She walked closer, her boots echoing lightly. You should rest. You'll need your strength for the finals. Rest? He laughed quietly. Maybe after humanity's name is written among the stars. Her expression grew serious. Ethan, you need to listen. Something is wrong. He noticed the tension in her voice. What do you mean? She hesitated, then lowered her voice. The Council fears you. They're planning something before the next match. They want to stop you permanently. For a moment, Ethan said nothing. He simply looked at her, his expression calm, thoughtful. I figured something like that might happen, he said at last. Lyra's eyes widened. You knew? Not for sure, he said. But fear always reacts the same way. It tries to destroy what it doesn't understand. She shook her head. You're too calm about this. He smiled faintly. Being afraid won't help me.
I'll be ready. Lyra stepped closer.
Let me help you. I can access the security grid. I'll watch your movements. If anyone comes for you, I'll warn you. He looked at her for a long moment. Why would you risk your position for me? She hesitated. Because you fight for something real. Something my people forgot a long time ago. Their eyes met. No words followed, but something unspoken passed between them. Trust, understanding, and a bond neither of them had expected. Later that night, Lyra returned to her ship and accessed the surveillance feeds. The Council's agents were already moving, 4 armored figures slipping through the maintenance tunnels beneath the arena. Their armor was black, built for silence. Lyra activated her communicator. Ethan, they're coming. 4 hostiles armed with plasma blades. They're approaching from the south entrance. Ethan's voice came through calmly. Got it. He was still in the training hall, the lights dimmed around him. He looked at his bare hands, then tightened them into fists. When the first assassin entered, Ethan was already moving. He ducked under the swing of a plasma blade and swept the attacker's legs from under him. The second came from behind, fast and silent. But Ethan twisted aside and slammed his elbow into the alien's chest. Sparks flew as the armor cracked. Lyra watched from her command console, heart pounding. 2 more coming from the right. Ethan moved toward the shadows, staying low. The next attacker lunged, but Ethan caught the blade arm, forcing it aside. The weapon hummed inches from his face, but he pushed harder, turned, and threw the assassin into the wall. The 4th one tried to retreat, sending a signal for backup. Ethan reached him before he could finish the call, disabling the comm device with a sharp strike. Within minutes, the hall was silent again. Lyra's voice came through, quiet with disbelief. You took them all down, alone. Ethan looked at the fallen attackers, breathing heavily. Not alone, he said softly. You warned me. She didn't know how to respond. Her throat felt tight. They'll send more, she said finally. Let them, Ethan replied. I'm not stopping now. The next morning, the entire arena buzzed with rumors. No one knew what had happened in the night. But the council quickly replaced several guards and erased the security logs. Officially, nothing had occurred. But Lyra knew the truth, and so did Ethan. When she saw him again before the next match, she noticed a new bruise on his face, and his right hand was wrapped tightly. Yet he smiled as if nothing could shake him. "You're hurt," she said quietly. "Just a reminder that I'm still alive," he said. "And that I've got one fight left." Lyra's voice softened. "You should leave the planet. You've already proven your strength." Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. Humanity needs more than a victory. It needs respect." She wanted to argue, but his eyes stopped her. They were calm, steady, the same eyes she'd seen in the arena. That night the council met again. They were furious that the human was still alive. Some demanded to cancel the finals. Others feared that such an act would expose their corruption. Finally, the council agreed on one decision. The final match would continue, but they would ensure the human faced an opponent no one could defeat. General Karath, the reigning champion, a warrior enhanced with the most advanced combat technology in the galaxy. The council smiled coldly. Let him face the unbeatable. Then if he falls, the galaxy will see the truth, that humans are weak. Lyra learned of this plan through hidden data channels. She felt a heavy weight in her chest. Karath was not just strong, he was a living weapon. Even the most advanced races feared him. Putting Ethan against him was not a contest. It was a death sentence. She walked to the observation deck, looking out over the shining city below. The stars reflected in her eyes. "They want him to die," she whispered. "And yet, I know he won't give up." She clenched her fists. "Then neither will I." When she met Ethan before the final match, she didn't wear her officer's coat. Instead, she carried a small data chip. "This holds the arena's defense codes," she said. "If something goes wrong, I can use it to shut down the field barriers and get you out." Ethan smiled but gently pushed her hand back. "Keep it, I won't need it." Lyra frowned. "You can't fight Karath barehanded. He'll kill you." Ethan's eyes softened. "Maybe, but if I wear armor now, everything I've stood for means nothing. I need to show them that humanity doesn't win through machines. We win through spirit." She stared at him, trying to find words. "You're impossible. Just human," he said with a grin. As he walked away toward the arena, Lyra felt her heart twist with fear and pride at the same time. She whispered to herself, barely audible, "Then show them, Ethan. Show them what it means to be human." The sun of Veldara Prime rose slowly over the city's towers, painting the silver streets in shades of gold and orange. The air was alive with anticipation. Across the galaxy, screens broadcast the news. Human fighter reaches the finals. Everywhere, beings from different worlds whispered the same words. Some were amazed, some fearful, and some doubtful. Yet the entire arena buzzed with one undeniable truth. Ethan Cross had become a symbol of human courage. Inside the Vornan command deck, Commander Lyra V. Thane studied the final match reports again and again. The data was clear. The human would face General Karath, the most powerful fighter in the galaxy. Karath's body was enhanced with advanced armor plating, energy channels, and reinforced limbs. He had never lost a match in the history of the intergalactic combat trials. Lyra frowned. "He is not just a fighter. He is a weapon," she muttered. Her mind raced. How could a human, unarmed and barehanded, possibly stand against a being designed to destroy any opponent? Still, she knew one thing. Ethan's victories weren't about size, power, or technology. They were about courage, intelligence, and determination, qualities that Karath could never predict. The arena itself was packed with spectators. Thousands of aliens and humans alike filled the stands. The hum of excitement felt almost electric. Banners waved in the air, each displaying symbols of their homeworlds. Holoscreens above broadcast the event to countless planets across the galaxy. Ethan walked into the arena, his simple uniform and bare hands making him seem fragile among the gleaming combatants around him. He moved calmly, almost casually, yet every step carried focus and intention. Lyra followed him from the observation deck, her pulse quickening. Something deep inside her told her this was more than a fight. It was a statement, a message to the galaxy that humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, but as fighters with heart and spirit. The gates on the opposite side opened, and General Karath entered. The warrior's armor glimmered with energy pulses, and his eyes, glowing faintly red, scanned the arena. Every movement he made radiated power. Every step shook the floor. The audience gasped at the sight of him. The announcer's voice boomed. Final round. Human Captain Ethan Cross versus the unstoppable General Karath. Karath moved first. His speed was shocking. Faster than anything Ethan had faced before. Energy waves shot from his hands designed to strike before any opponent could react. But Ethan did not flinch. He dodged, rolled, and pivoted using every ounce of his training and instinct. Karath struck again, harder this time, and Ethan's shoulder grazed against a plasma shock. Pain shot through him, but he ignored it, breathing steadily. Lyra's heart pounded as she watched. Every move Ethan made was calculated. He didn't try to overpower Karath. Instead, he used timing, distance, and observation, all human traits refined by generations of survival on Earth. The crowd watched in stunned silence. No human had ever dared to face Karath before. Yet here was one, not just standing, but moving with confidence. Karath's attacks were relentless. He spun, leapt, and struck, his energy waves burning the arena floor. Most beings would have fallen or fled in terror, but Ethan kept advancing, refusing to retreat. At one point, Karath unleashed a sweeping strike with both arms, a wave of energy designed to crush anything in its path. Ethan ducked, rolling under the wave, and countered with a quick strike to Karath's armor joint. Sparks flew, and the sound of metal scraping echoed through the arena. Lyra held her breath. "He's doing it," she whispered. "He's using Karath's own strength against him." Ethan's strategy was simple yet brilliant. He dodged, redirected, and struck, forcing Karath to adjust constantly. The champion had never faced an opponent like this, one who did not rely on brute force but on human creativity and instinct. The match dragged on. Minutes turned into long stretches of movement, each one testing endurance, patience, and focus. Ethan stumbled slightly as Karath's fist grazed his ribs. Pain burned through him, but he shook it off. Every strike from Karath was a warning, yet Ethan moved with a calm purpose. Lyra could see it clearly now. This was not just about winning. This was about proving something, that humans could stand against impossible odds, and do so with heart and spirit. The arena erupted in cheers as Ethan ducked a final strike and landed a punch to Karath's side, hard enough to make the champion stagger. The audience gasped. No one had ever dared strike Karath like that, much less with bare hands. Karath recovered quickly, rage flashing in his glowing eyes. He attacked with a sudden burst of speed, aiming directly for Ethan's head, but Ethan didn't flinch. He sidestepped, grabbed Karath's armored arm, and twisted, using the general's own momentum to throw him toward the arena floor. For a heartbeat, the arena held its breath. Then Karath hit the floor with a thunderous crash. Sparks flew from his armor as the sensors registered the impact. Silence fell. Ethan stood, breathing heavily, hands clenched, bruises and scratches marking his body. But he was still upright. The crowd exploded in cheers. Some aliens were stunned into silence, unable to comprehend how a human could do this. Others jumped to their feet, shouting in disbelief. Humans from the stands waved their flags, tears in their eyes. Lyra's heart raced. She felt a rush of admiration, pride, and something else. A deep connection she could not name. She had always respected warriors, but none had ever moved her like this. Ethan Cross was more than a fighter. He was a symbol. Karath struggled to rise, glaring at Ethan. But even his fury could not hide the truth. He had been defeated by something stronger than armor or technology. He had been defeated by human spirit. After the match, Ethan walked to the center of the arena. The lights focused on him, and for a moment the galaxy seemed to pause. The announcer's voice rang out, "Victory! Human contestant Ethan Cross." Cheers echoed across the planet and beyond. Holoscreens captured the moment for millions of beings across the galaxy. Humanity had proven itself, and not with weapons, not with machines, but with courage, creativity, and heart. Lyra watched, tears welling in her eyes. She wanted to run to him to tell him what she felt, but she held back. Her admiration was more than respect. Something in her whispered again, a thought she had tried to ignore. He's mine. Not as a possession, not as a prize, but as inspiration, as a reminder that humans could achieve the impossible, that one person with courage and determination could change the galaxy. Later, in the quiet of the observation deck, Lyra finally met Ethan again. He was tired, his body bruised and aching, but his eyes were bright, calm, and alive. "You did it," she said softly. "You've proven everything," Ethan smiled. "We humans have always done the impossible. We just never had the stage to show it." Lyra nodded. "You didn't just win, Ethan. You showed everyone what it means to fight with heart, to survive with courage." He looked at her, and for a moment neither spoke. The silence was full of meaning. She didn't need to explain her feelings. He understood in some unspoken way. Finally, he said, "Thank you, Lyra, for believing in me, for helping me when no one else would." Her heart raced. "I didn't just believe in you. I admire you, more than I can say." Ethan's smile grew, gentle and understanding. "Then the galaxy has another lesson to learn, that humans can win even when no one believes." Lyra nodded again. The stars outside the arena shimmered brightly. The victory was not just his, it was humanity's, and it was a moment she would never forget. In that quiet moment, she realized the truth. Ethan had changed her. He had reminded her of courage, of determination, of the spark that made life meaningful. And for the first time, she felt the impossible thought fully. He's mine. Not as a weapon, not as a soldier, not as a prize, but as a symbol of everything that humanity could achieve, and everything that she now believed in.